semifinal week here, college fantasy season, and that's why we are here today to get you guys all the information that you need. Going to be a bigger crew than what you're seeing right now. People are going to be dropping in and out this morning. Austin Nace, Colin Decker, Jared Palmgren, Chris Moxley on the screen now. Matt Bruning and Felix Sharp are probably arguing about something and will be on momentarily. Gentlemen, we got to get the folks ready for their matchups today. I'm assuming we've got matchups as well. So I mean, it's going to be an interesting day of college football. We're going to be tracking some injuries here. That's going to be the key thing through the show. We're going to be dropping that information throughout. And just a couple names I want to toss out to you guys. We can kick off the show with a little discussion around some of these. So some confirmed things already this morning. Travion Henderson playing today, although his role TBD. Mayan Williams is out for Ohio State. Malik Cunningham, quarterback at Louisville, is not going to play today. Bo Nix is still a question mark. We're going to talk about what that could mean. Quentin Johnston, a question mark for TCU. Probably get him out of your lineups here. Antoine Green, likely out, wide receiver. UNC suffered what appeared to be a concussion last week in that game. And then Jahmyr Gibbs probably out today as well. Is there a pivot option on that roster? So good morning, gentlemen. It's going to be a crazy morning here. We're going to be trying to set our lineups as we're telling you guys how to set your lineup. So I expect people might need some questions repeated as we go through the morning here.
Yeah, very, very likely. I have paid attention to you anyway, so this morning's going to be even worse, trying to keep up with all this injury news.
Fair enough, Mr. Decker. Fair enough.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, if you're in a playoff matchup and you got guys like Travion Henderson, Malik Cunningham, Bo Nix, Quentin Johnston, Antoine Green, and Jahmyr Gibbs all on that roster, you're probably hating yourself a little bit this morning. And again, it's probably not done. We're still waiting on injury information from a lot of these guys.
Yeah. We're going to be, like I said, we're just going to drop that news as it happens here because that's going to be the most important thing. We want to answer a lot of your guys' start-sit questions as a result. I see we already have one of the comments here. We're going to talk about that here in just a second for you, Luke. I'm sure we all have some start-sit conundrums as well. I won't be tilting my face off like I was last week about Zach Charbonnet.
Oh, I'm already tilting my face off because I panic sat Brian Batty yesterday when Mox started talking about how USF was going to get absolutely destroyed. And I'm like, oh God, that means he's going to get completely game scripted out if they fall behind by that much. And well,
I cannot take ownership of that.
No. I'm not blaming you. I am saying that is what triggered me. And so I take full ownership. It's my roster. But he only went off for like 24 points in a playoff matchup. And so I'm a little sad.
You know, just to help you guys with all this anxiety you have of setting your lineups, just suck at CFF. And you don't have to worry about it because you're not playing right now.
Or just play best ball. Also,
speaking of sucking at CFF, Felix Sharp is just Felix. Welcome into the show here this morning. Better late than never. Am I right?
Oh, Lord.
I am in the playoffs in 2 leagues.
How many leagues you had?
18.
I think
Hold on, y'all. Sorry, my cat. Jester.
And I think I got a good chance at both of them.
Did you have any tough decisions to make this week, Felix? We're talking some injuries.
Yeah, Austin Reed. I mean, I have a league where Austin Reed has carried me. I'm like, what am I going to do versus Auburn? But I did not have. I mean, I'm not going to start like Hunter Deckers today. So I went with Austin Reed in more than one places. Also went with Riley Leonard, which was he got me 25. He's got some dual threat ability. So, but I could not find a better option than Austin Reed in a few of my leagues.
All right, so
I don't think he's a bad option. Yeah. Auburn's not scary.
Someone didn't listen to the Better Sports Show. Jeez,
this guy telling on himself.
Yeah, seriously. All right, we've got some questions in the chat here already, and I'm assuming, Luke, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You dropped pick 2 out of 3 names, and then you dropped the same 3 names with one more in there. So I'm assuming that you're also considering Chris Thornton. So here's the dilemma already that Mr. Luke is facing this morning. Tilting and need help. I know how you feel. 2 in PPR: Chris Thornton, Travion Henderson, Cedric Tillman, Damian Martinez. Guys, Chris, I'm going to come to you first. I want to hear Jared from you as well. What do we think here?
I would go Thornton and Martinez personally. I think Martinez might have a really big day. That's a pretty juicy matchup they got. And then I also like MU's matchup against Georgia State. So this, I would not. I assuming this is Travion. I don't know another Henderson. It could be. I am not trusting Travion today. I just can't. I just don't know how you can, like currently. But maybe it's a big day and I'm wrong.
Yeah, I would say I'm going to lean the same way with Thornton and Martinez. I think those two are the ones that had the least amount of questions. Thornton, more than anything, can he finally find the freaking end zone? Because, dear God, he got five touchdowns in the first 2 weeks and hasn't gotten a touchdown since then. Just absolutely wild. And then, yeah, Martinez is a good matchup right there. And then Tillman and Henderson have the biggest questions.
How unprofessional, Colin. Just completely unprofessional.
I'm going to have an
With that
aneurysm
sneeze.
one of these days because of Colin. I swear to God. Like,
Why don't you just sneeze right into the microphone?
I leaned too
Lick
far
your
away, but I
camera.
couldn't get my mouse over to mute it in time.
That was definitely the loudest sneeze I've heard on a show in a while.
sometimes
Jelson
they
and
just
Debbie
sneak
debate on
up on
Wednesday?
you, you know? Yeah.
It was almost as loud as this cough I was hearing on Debbie Debate Wednesday. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, thank you.
He
I
caught it
actually
right in the
tried, and
middle.
I thought that I did mute myself.
You caught it like right in the middle of the cough. You could tell, like you definitely picked up the first part of it here. All right. So, and I think I kind of like Tillman today.
I like him too, but again, in that scenario, he had more questions, in my opinion, in terms of his usage versus Martinez or Thornton. So in a playoff matchup, I tend to be a little bit more conservative in playing guys that I know what they're going that they are going to be a big part of their offensive game plan for the day. I don't know that about Tillman or know that about Henderson. Potential is there. I am starting Henderson in at least one league, but I am saying that those two are the best options.
Personal philosophy, I think, can dictate a lot of these options today, and I think knowing the range of outcomes is useful for a lot of them. I ride a little differently on this than you do, Jared. As long as it's not injury related, I am willing to be a little bit more aggressive in the playoffs and kind of seek upside. I think Tillman has so much more upside. I think they rested him last week. I think it was like they said after the game, like he could have played today. We'll evaluate him, but he's going to be fine. I think Tillman's like 85, 90%. I think they roll him out there. I think he gets 10 plus targets in this game. I really do. I think this is a big Tillman day.
Well, going along with that, Luke asked in the chat, he said, if we had to pick a third, would we go Tillman or Henderson? I would go Tillman, especially with the PPR aspect.
I don't want to get too in the weeds on this, but I would argue that Travion Henderson is the most upside of all those plays. Given the
I would say, between his talent and the potential of being the sole running back in Ohio State's offense against Maryland's defense today, heck yeah! It's just a question of how conservative is Ryan Day going to be with him.
He won't be the sole running back today. Chip Trainham and Dallin Hayden will get work today.
there
Well,
we go.
yeah,
Please don't start.
He's the backup today. He
Not
literally
Dallin
is
Hayden?
the backup. No, it's
I
Chip
did say
Trainham.
I would start Dallin Hayden on
Yeah.
on.
I think they'll all
Sports.
get work, but they're trying to get Chip and Dallin ready in case they don't have Mayan for next week if they win the Big Ten championship.
So there we go. All right, so we've got a couple other questions. If Bo Nix does not start, is it Cordero or Penix? Penix for me.
I would say Penix going up against Colorado today, right? So
It's not like they have like a running back that's just going to smash today. Like they don't really run the ball. I like Penix there.
I am pretty skeptical of starting anybody on San Jose State currently. I think they've been playing pretty poorly recently, and I don't necessarily know if that's all like talent or mental.
Why would you do that to me?
What?
I have a lineup that I kind of have to start Cordero today, and I'm rolling out Elijah Cooks with him. And now,
oh no,
why would you do that?
Somebody asked me this morning a question about Cordero. I'm like, yeah, go with Cordero. It's a pretty good matchup, and he's got some rushing upside.
It is a good matchup. So they had one of the players that lost their life a couple weeks ago, and since then they've really not been playing very well on either side of the ball. But it is a good matchup, so I'm not going to tell you not to play Cordero. I just prefer Penix here.
This problem could have been avoided if Matt Bruni could have accepted my trade and not let it hang out for 3 weeks. I could have rolled out Jalen Hyatt. We're not going to get into that. All right, so there we've answered that one.
You're welcome, sir.
A couple other ones here. If Gibbs is out, Jace McClellan or Devin Neal? I think this is an interesting question. what do you guys think? I've kind of been on the I don't think McClellan has 40-point upside this week, but I think he's pretty locked in for around 20 in this matchup against Austin P. Devin Neal, Texas front seven, pretty solid. I don't know.
I would not play Devin Neal.
I would say
I would probably lean towards McClellan here.
That's kind of easy.
Yeah, and McClellan has been getting touches in where games are still in the balance. I mean, he had been spelling Jahmyr Gibbs even absent injury. So I think they're going to run him today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So I think we've hit
Does
all
he
the
declare?
questions.
Does Jason McClellan declare?
I don't think so.
I personally lean towards no.
Yeah, I don't see how he can. I mean,
I think
really
he can come back and be a second-round pick, though.
See, I think if he gets a day 2 ballpark grade, which I think he might, I think he's gone.
If he is, I'm totally cool with that if he does, because Jamari Miller, I think, could smash next year. Unless Bama goes out and
he's not going to improve his draft stock to be a first-round candidate. So if he's in that 3rd to 4th round range, if he's added to this draft class, you really need to have 2023 rookie picks in your dynasty leagues. But we know running backs aren't going in the first round. So if he gets a 3rd or 4th round grade, I think he should really consider just declaring for the NFL draft. Because I think for that position, what matters financially is your second contract. And how old are you when you're eligible for that second contract? You get a 4-year deal, he's going to be 25 by the time he's eligible for that second contract. If I was his agent, I would tell him to consider making the jump.
All right, let's real quick. We don't have a lot of. We're not going to recap some full games this week. We really just want to be hitting on some of this news for today. And somebody just asked another question. We'll hit that in a second. Familiar face there in the chat.
Dang it, Jarek.
Some big performances already here this week, and let's start with Deneric Prince in that game last night. First off, Tulsa, what are you doing? What are you doing? You only won by 6 in this game. Come on. USF down to the bare bones here on this roster, but Prince had himself a night. Chris, you so astutely called the Deneric Prince over on his rushing total. It was like 88.5 yards or something like that. He hit that in the first quarter on the way to 220 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Really nice day there for him. A couple other notable pitches in that game as well. I believe Keelan Stokes had himself a nice day. 6 catches, 145 yards and a touchdown. And Pratt had himself a nice night last night too. Really, this whole team just kind of went off. So a good day all around here for your Tulsa fantasy options. A couple other names that had some big games this week. Tyjae Spears, another one that was a popular yardage over on the week. And again, another guy that hit that in the first quarter. Spears ends up with 121 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Get you 31 fantasy points. A great way to kick off your week there. And RJ Maryland. I don't know if anyone out there started RJ Maryland, but 6 catches, 61 yards, 2 touchdowns for against Tulane here. He's going to be a problem. He's a true freshman. NFL bloodlines. This passing offense is not going to go. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be just as good moving forward. So RJ Maryland.
Is he Debbie tight end too?
Hey, where I mean,
once Mare leaves, I think he's probably behind Jatavian Sanders still, but
I'd still put him behind Trig too.
Oh, I'm no way, man. What he's doing as a true freshman. You guys love Michael Trigg. What has Trigg done?
Trigg is going to dunk so hard next year. It's going to be amazing.
He's done nothing.
He started off the season a little shaky, but then he came on and then ended up getting hurt. I mean, RJ Maryland's 217 pounds, Chris. He can't play tight end in the NFL at that size.
Give him
how big
pounds.
Is Brock Bowers?
230.
230.
Jaheim Bell's 225.
I'm not a Jaheim Bell guy either.
I don't like Jaheim Bell.
Yeah, Jaheim Bell's not going to be a good NFL tight end.
He gets mocked in the first a lot more than he should be.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm a RJ Maryland guy.
I believe RJ Maryland.
He's awesome. He'll be a top tight end for CFF next year, probably.
Yeah,
actually loves using.
Shout out Brandon Sanders. He called that one pretty early on his freshman focus pod there. But so I think RJ Maryland will be great for CFF option. But I need to see at least 20 more pounds on him in the next year and a half before I'd even consider him for a Devy option.
I would take him in a C2C right now over Michael Trigg.
How early are you taking him? See, because I think that's
I don't know
part
where
of the
does Trigg
problem.
go.
Trigg's probably going 5th, 6th.
Oh, you guys are
That's-
burning picks.
That's too early for Trig.
I'm just taking a guess. I mean,
I would
we
say,
haven't. We don't have
I'd have to
ADP
see
data
where-
right now. Yeah.
I would say I need to see that latest mock that PJ did. So
There's
I
some
mean-
questionable picks in that one. I wouldn't necessarily go off that as gospel as
It's-
someone that's participating in it.
It's early.
Just throwing
It's
that
early
out
in the
there.
off season. There's still a lot that we need to figure out. So I'm not going to blame anybody for picks in that one, but
Let me know where RJ Maryland goes.
he won't.
Chase Brown, full go in practice the past 2 days, according to Pete Thamel, and he will play today.
perfect.
There's a 0% chance that he's actually full go. Just
No.
for the record. I actually don't even really love this matchup for him. I think I might still sit Chase Brown.
I
I would.
absolutely would.
So, I mean, just not a great matchup and banged up. Yeah, no, thank you. And we talked about some of the lines that we might be betting in that game on Better Sports this morning. All right, so let's get into some start sits, and we're going to get we actually had another one in the comments here, maybe two more. Jordan Mims, Ja'Cory Brooks, or Ali Jennings. Jennings, I think, is done for the year, right?
Yeah.
He's scheduled for
Yeah.
surgery. I'm pretty sure he's done. So it makes it a lot more a lot easier. I'm taking Mims.
Okay.
Like that.
K0KA underscore.
Just block him.
I definitely would take Jordan Mims on this one.
Comment from your own channel, please. Whoever. Thank you, Felix. Go on your own YouTube thing and sign in and do that.
It's gonna kick us off the internet.
I know, right?
Start
Yeah.
sits for the day. So wait, Mims, Ja'Cory Brooks.
Mims.
Yeah, Mims.
We're all in agreement there against Nevada. Yeah, I actually agree. All right. Start sit. Felix, I guess I have to come to you first. Your name's first on the list.
Yeah, I did move everybody else's name out of the way and put my name there first. I figured, let me. Well, if Dallin, so Dallin Hayden,
Everybody get out of
was
my
my
way.
start. I think if I could find, rather than starting him in your on the college side of your C2C leagues, if I could find a line for his rushing yardage on Prize Picks, I may be more apt to hit the over on that, depending on what it is. Matt is the inside. Matt is the insider, but quite frankly, Matt hasn't been able to pick the starting quarterback the last couple of years for Ohio State, so I don't know how good his information is. So Dallin Hayden is my start. My sit. I only have one start and sit. Are we just doing starts right now?
Nope, hit your
No,
sit.
go ahead.
Go ahead, buddy.
Okay.
You got this.
If I can sit Austin Reed, I can. The problem is I'm in some leagues where I could not. So if you have a better option, they're at Auburn today. Auburn only favored by 5.5. I like Auburn in that one. But if I could sit Austin Reed, I'm doing it.
I think you can still, with Austin Reed, you can still kind of get anywhere. I think you still find about 20 points with him, but I agree. It's definitely not the greatest matchup for him. Matt, you want to do sit and starts?
Yeah, sure. Going against the group here, everybody was saying sit Chase Brown because he's dealing with an injury. I'm starting him against Michigan. He is Illinois' offense. I think he is going to be just fine today. I don't expect him to have like a 30-point game that he's had in recent years, but I do think he can get close to 100 yards and at least a touchdown, which I think is going to be good enough to start today. I am also starting Jalen Moreno Cropper against Nevada. I think he should have a good game today. He's been pretty good the past couple weeks. I am sitting once again Kendry Miller. Would have been right about this last week had he not broke off that 70-yard touchdown. I think Baylor is going to come in and stop him. Max Duggan has just not been playing well recently, and I think he is a little bit banged up, and I think they know they can focus on Kendry Miller here and try and have Max Duggan beat them, which he did do against Texas, but it was not a pretty game. So I wonder if Baylor can play a little bit better than Texas's defense did. And I'm sitting Dorian Singer for the Wildcats against Washington State. I just think this is going to be more of a Ted McMillan and Jacob Cowing game. Dorian Singer had been on fire, had a bad week last week, and I think he follows it up with another stinker today. Get him out of your lineups.
I like some interesting ones. I get what you're saying on Chase Brown. I mean, it's tough to sit him when he's gotten you this far. I don't know, just not trusting him there, but I have trust issues.
I mean,
Chris,
just point me to the real rushing attack that Michigan has stopped. So
that's fair. That's fair.
I haven't played anybody. So.
That's kind of my point.
Don't tell Michigan fans that.
A lot of people are saying sit Chase Brown, though. I know you guys are talking about the injury, but a lot of other people are saying sit Chase Brown because Michigan has a top defense. Like, who have they played to show us they're really a top defense? Like, they've gotten beat on the ground a couple times. Like, I think Chase Brown is a really good running back. He catches the ball too. Like, they've been passing him the ball a whole lot more as well recently because of it. Like, I think he still gets you 15 to 20 points, and that's all I need from him today.
The thing is though, is Michigan knows they haven't played anybody, and so I think that Jim Harbaugh is drilling it into these guys every week that they have to be focused. They have to get style points and victories. You know that they want to try to be able to get into the playoff with one loss. If they lose to Ohio State, by 3, they might still get in. But you got to beat a team like Illinois by 30 if that's going to be a possibility.
Or a team like Penn State by
30. I don't disagree with what you're saying there, Felix, but it hasn't worked for them for the most part. They don't get going till the second half that they're in these games, and I do think they may be looking ahead to next week because we all know they want to win that game next week. And even if they lose today against Illinois, if they go in there and beat Ohio State next week, they're in the playoff. So I think there is a lot of focus on next week as well. I'm not saying they're going to come in and shit the bed today, but I think Chase Brown is going to be fine. He's been phenomenal all season.
Where would you put the over-under on his yardage for today, Matt? I'll take it. Well, let's take it. Let's do a bet.
I think it was 90-something on – I think it was 99 on Prize Picks. I take the under. I think he gets right around 90.
It's currently 91 right now.
I'd still probably – yeah, I think that's right where he's at. So I said I think he can get you 80 to 90 yards and a touchdown, which is really all you need because he will get some receiving work as well. Like, I'm not expecting him to go out there and put up 30 points, but I just don't know. Yeah. For me personally, I'm relying on a guy who's done it all year.
I said this on the Better Sports Show. I said I would like to see the odds on Michigan shutting out Illinois today. Even with that was when I thought Chase Brown might be out, but I think that you saw how they beat Nebraska last week. They kicked a field goal late in that game because, they want to win by 30 as opposed to 27. I don't think Chase Brown scores today. I think that Michigan keeps Illinois out of the end zone entirely. If Illinois, they might get a couple of field goals, but I think that Michigan shuts out Illinois today.
I agree with that, Felix.
Shuts out. Interesting. Yeah, Colin's always been your favorite. I know. All right, Chris, take it away here. What do you like today, and what don't you like?
Okay, so I had Braden Shager, but the more I look into this forecast, it looks like it's gonna be pretty windy in Honolulu today. I don't love that, so it makes me a little more skeptical to start him. He's been better in recent weeks. His whole offense has, from where they were. So if you're desperate, you can start him, but I've moved a little bit away from him. Still think it's a good matchup, of course. Jaden Knott, Cal running back, roll him out against Stanford. He slowed down in recent weeks, but I still think that he's going to play a big role in their offense when they get good matchups like this. And this is a very good matchup. Stanford is pretty terrible, honestly. And then the game of the week in terms of total, I want to roll out Jake Bobo. I think that he could see double-digit targets. He is double-digit targets. This man's going to smash, and I think he absolutely could. This could be a huge Jake Bobo game. Nobody else really this passing game. Casimir Allen is out as well, which means that I could just I'll go to him. Who am I sitting? I just did this to dunk on him. Like Will Levis. Come on. I know you're not starting him today against Georgia, but you shouldn't have started him against Tennessee or Vanderbilt either. So, not a good player.
Should get one of these NFL draft people to come on this show and explain themselves.
Dude,
Well,
Because
he's
I
got-
just don't
He's got
understand.
the tools.
it's tools. That's all they
He's got
that's
the tools.
The laziest analysis I've ever heard in my life about
I,
anything.
I think that Matt Corral was a better quarterback prospect. I think that Sam Howell was a better quarterback prospect.
They didn't have the tools, man, and they were
Yep.
small.
Yeah, the tools.
And have tools.
I think you are underrating how much they really care about small quarterbacks now. After a lot of those guys have
So you-
failed outside of two,
So if Will Levis was 6 foot, 205 pounds, he would.
they would not. I guarantee you, they would not be talking about his tools.
Barnabas wants us to get at the McKee hive as well.
Yeah,
Tanner
that's
McKee.
just as bad. Just as
It's
bad.
worse. It's worse in
It
my
might be
opinion.
worse,
I could
yeah.
kind of see Will Levis during the time that he was actually performing pretty well because he had a pretty good year last year.
Which was when though?
Last year was pretty decent. Like I could see where people thought like
He
he,
would-
could
yeah.
he could take a step.
He played
McKee,
okay
I have
back there.
no clue where that came from. It seems like everybody
He's
saw
at-
Davis
he has
Mills come out
tools.
of nowhere.
He's smart.
He's also
Who
old.
else are you sitting, Chris?
Smart.
Jalen White, Georgia Southern running back. He's been honestly really good this season for you. He's had some really big games in good matchups. Marshall's not a good matchup. Their front seven can stop most rushing attacks, and they have all season. So I'd be skeptical to start him. And then I don't know if I want to play Zay Flowers against Notre Dame. I do think that Boston College is going to score more than 10.5 points. I also think that Boston College is going to cover, but I don't necessarily know if Zay Flowers is a guy that's going to get 101, which is probably what you want out of him this week. The secondary at Notre Dame is all right. They're decent. I do think that they're going to shade a lot towards Flowers, though. I would not be surprised if he saw a lot of double coverage. That would probably include Brandon Joseph, who is, I would guess, a first-round safety.
Yeah, if he doesn't play well today, it'll definitely be because of Notre Dame's defense. It'll not be from lack of usage. Moorhead, their backup quarterback, doesn't seem to know a whole lot, but he knows throw the ball to Zay Flowers.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's definitely been good for a freshman. Intriguing player for sure. Some news. I don't know how much news this is. West Virginia not starting JT Daniels today. They'll have Garrett Green out there.
He's fun.
He played fairly well yesterday. Definitely an interesting guy there. So just if you were starting JT Daniels, I'm so sorry, but he's not playing today. We've got Rocket Sanders or Damian Martinez. It's Martinez by a lot. Sanders just hasn't. That offense sucks right now, and KD Jefferson's not going to get any better. So health wise.
So I have a player that I didn't include that I kind of wanted to ask y'all about real quick. What are you
Okay.
doing with Dwayne McBride today?
I think it highly depends.
I'm glad you asked, Chris, actually, because he's one of my sits today.
All right, I didn't read ahead. On the show sheet.
I see what happened there.
He's not reading the show sheet. Good work, everybody. This one's a little more informal today because we're trying to get as many of these start sits for folks.
Yeah.
This is a big fantasy week.
I stole from Colin, I think, last week too.
Was that you, or was it Felix that stole from me last week?
Felix wasn't here last
I
week.
was gonna say Felix
I was
here.
not here last week.
Okay.
Listen, you guys keep bringing up this thing that happened last year where I got on the show one show late and then started talking about everybody's players. I'm playing my role. I looked at the show sheet and I put my starts and sits and all of my information in the show sheet before the show. No, it was not me.
Okay, it was me. Fine. I never read ahead on the show sheet.
The
You're also
comments
usually the first person in there, so
are pouring in.
Yeah.
So before we get to you, Colin, let's hit some of these specific ones that people are tossing out. Thank you, Niall Croc, Kavorian Barnes at Rice or Stacey Sneed at ECU. What do we think here, guys?
Kavorian Barnes. Rice is terrible.
I mean, so is East Carolina's defense for the most part. I think I'd still lean towards Barnes, but I think Snead might have the volume out of these two because that entire running back room for Houston has been decimated.
I'm interested.
like,
The
nobody
second
left.
half for UTSA, Barnes might get some run. Like they just might be up by 3 touchdowns. I don't
Niall
know.
Crocs, let's get this video up to 20 likes. There's enough people watching. Let's get it to 20 likes. Niall Croc, please subscribe to the channel. You don't do that enough. Subscribe to the channel, like
You
this
don't
video.
need to do
Let's
it.
get
It's
to
a
20.
live show.
If we all work together, we can do it. And follow Campus Again on TikTok.
Okay.
Anyway, we got another question here.
Percy, AO, I like it. Running back for JMU or Aronde Gadsden.
We are going to go with Percy Aguier Obise here.
Yeah.
Gadsden, you can't start him right now with
Nope.
with no Schrader, and I don't think Schrader's playing today. It doesn't sound like, at least not that I've heard.
He played
It
last
do-
week, but it was
It doesn't
terrible.
matter to me. I'm not starting him.
Yeah, it's just that whole offense is falling apart here. Yeah, I'll take my chances with Percy as well. All right, Colin, we're gonna come over to you. Start sits today. Some guys you like, some guys you don't like.
Yeah. First guy I like, I'll stay in that ECU matchup where you guys were talking about before, but I'll start Holton Allers, quarterback for ECU, going up against Houston. Houston defense allows the second most pass yards per game, 291.5. They allow the 8th most points per game with 36.2 points. So their pass defense is atrocious. 24th worst in the pass defense EPA per play, 25th worst for defensive pass success rate. Just across the board, terrible pass defense. I mean, we saw what SMU did against them a couple weeks ago. And we're not sure really what the status of Keaton Mitchell is in this one. It's hard to trust him after the last 2 weeks, though, with those injuries. So I think ECU is going to have to rely more on the pass in this one. It needs to be a fairly high-scoring game. So I'm starting Holton Allers in this one. And then I'm going to go back to the well on this one here. He was a start for me on the Campus Lives last week. It was Trey Harris, wide receiver for Louisiana Tech. This week he gets Charlotte. Charlotte allows the 8th most pass yards per game. They're the 3rd worst defensive pass EPA per play and the worst defensive pass success rate. Trey Harris had a bit of a dud last week, 5 for 49, but he had 9 targets. So the volume's there. It's a soft matchup. And he's had a couple huge matchups the past couple weeks. He's got 3 30-point games in his last 5. Moving over to sits, Chris, here you go. I'm sitting Dwayne McBride, running back for UAB, going up against LSU. Look, I just think UAB is going to be outmatched in this one, for one. But then 2, LSU's defense has been playing really well the last 2 weeks. They've held Arkansas to 133 yards of rushing, and that's one thing that Arkansas normally does well. And then 2 weeks ago against Alabama, they held them to 137 yards rushing. And again, that's kind of Alabama's strength this year, is that run game with Jahmyr Gibbs. McBride doesn't catch passes either, so you have to rely on volume and touchdowns. And I think there's a good chance that LSU could potentially shut out UAB in this one. So I'm not trusting McBride here. I know he got you this far, but just a rough matchup. And then another guy I'm sitting here, Roman Hemby, running back for Maryland, going up against Ohio State. His volumes dipped a bit in the past 2 games with Talia back and fully healthy here. He had 16 and 13 carries the last 2 weeks. Before that, it was 17 and 24. So not a huge drop, but definitely a little bit. And his efficiencies dropped too. 4.1, 5.2 yards per carry the past 2 weeks compared to 6.3 and 7.5 the 2 weeks before that. Again, last 2 games has not scored either. And then this Ohio State's defense allows the 18th fewest rush yards per game, 110.3, and the 7th fewest points per game. And I think Ohio State's going to need to be out to prove something here too, heading into next week. I don't really trust anybody on Maryland, but I'm definitely not starting Roman Hemby.
Thank you for going on a limb with your sit picks this week, Colin. Jared,
Hey, those guys have been good. They got you probably where you are.
I don't think he's being sarcastic there.
I was being sarcastic.
I wouldn't
have been sarcastic this morning, but then he had to go sneeze directly into his mic 2 minutes ago. What's going to happen the rest of the show? Jared, over to you.
First of all, Colin, you're making me cry by telling me to sit Dwayne McBride because I need him in one of my leagues. Actually, I'll ask you, Colin.
Austin,
Real quick, Colin, Dwayne McBride or Elijah Green today?
Green.
Oh, yeah, Green, I think. I don't love either of them, but I think I'd go Green.
Alrighty. Anyway, let's go to my start sits.
Just real quick, Brett. We discussed this a little bit earlier. Matt has him as a start today. A couple of us have him as a sit. We're pretty split on him.
Are we? Is anybody else with Matt?
I think he's a fine play today. I'm kind of with Matt to where I don't think he's going to go off today. I don't think he's going to be the guy that carries your team to victory today, but I don't think it's going to be like he's going to have 50 yards, no touchdowns, and you're stuck.
That's pretty much exactly what I think is going to happen. I think he gets sub 10 points. I'm
you know what?
Away from Chase Brown.
We'll have the Quinshawn Judkins treatment for you this week. I'm sure Chris enjoyed that last week, so just get ready for the tags.
Please, I'm looking forward to 2 tweets today.
It's coming for you.
Colin doesn't get on Twitter anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So under 12 points for Chase Brown. I'll take a bet on that.
You say
Under for
12
me,
points?
too.
I'll take the over. It's going to go over 12 points.
I'll take the
Let's
under.
do a bet on
Easy.
that. Let's do a bet on that show bet. I'll take the under.
I don't know what we.
Should I continue my starts?
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well,
Okay.
I have another question here, real quick, Jared. I'm sorry to
Okay.
keep cutting you off. I'm trying to hit these as they come in, just so we don't get a buildup of them. So now, guys, if Jahmyr Gibbs plays, I'm assuming I stick Kavori and Barnes for him, right? And I think this is an interesting discussion because I think even if Gibbs is like active against Austin P, I don't know how much run he gets. I think even if they say, yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have his helmet and pads on today, he's going to be out there. I think I'm sitting Jahmyr Gibbs regardless.
No, he's shown throughout the year that when you have a matchup like this where Bama is expected to blow them out completely, that those are the games he doesn't produce very well in. He typically has been better in games where it's a lot closer, minus the Ole Miss game last week, obviously. But even before he got hurt, he was just not having a good day. Yeah, I would sit him regardless today.
And this is another one. Someone said, is Jahmyr Gibbs playing? I think Phillip, even if it doesn't matter. I think even if he does
Stewart,
play,
start Addison.
I would take Addison out of this group. Stewart is intriguing because of the matchup, but there's a legitimate chance that they just kind of run the ball and get out of there. So that's some of my thoughts there, at least. Sorry, Jared. Over to you now.
Okay. Anybody got any more questions before we go forward?
No, we're good.
All right, we're good. Anyway, starting, let's go to Nakia Watson going up against Arizona. Arizona's rushing defense has been atrocious this year. Go back and look at almost all the running backs that have played against them. More than likely, you are going to see that running back had their best performance against Arizona. Nakia Watson has been on a roll recently, getting 16 and 22 carries in his last two games. Washington State has been a lot more run heavy than we were kind of expecting this year. Nakia Watson has been a big part of that. Pretty much ever since he's come back from his injury, they've been relying heavily on him. I expect a very big day out of him. Following up with Collins' start of Holton Ahlers, I'm going to go to his number one target in terms of point scoring, and that is C.J. Johnson. Isaiah Winston, also a pretty good start today, but I would say C.J. Johnson is clearly Ahlers' favorite target whenever they get down near the red zone, whenever they want a big play for a touchdown. It always seems to be Johnson who gets those, so I would play him easily versus Houston today. And then last but not least, I'm going to go Aiden Robbins, running back out of UNLV. He's going up against Hawaii. Hawaii, another one of these rushing defenses where a lot of players have had their best performances come against them. Robbins, very much a big part of this UNLV offense to get them going. If UNLV is successful today, you should expect Robbins to be a very, very big part of that. Sitting guys. First guy probably doesn't matter anymore because that game has been suspended indefinitely. But Alex Adams, wide receiver out of Akron, he is somebody who has been performing really, really well for this Akron offense, better than Shaki Jacques Louis. He's kind of like CJ Johnson. He doesn't quite get as much volume as the other wide receiver, but he definitely finds the end zone a whole lot more than him. Regardless, going up against Buffalo is a tougher secondary in the MAC to go up against.
They're not playing today. I just wanted to toss that out there real quick.
No, I said at the beginning that they were suspended indefinitely. But even if they somehow play tomorrow and you get him in before the week is out, I wouldn't play him because he's going up against the Buffalo secondary. Is pretty good for the MAC, and he's probably without DJ Irons, even if they do play.
If that game, I mean, if you already would have had to set your bench, like if you had auto subs,
yeah.
Your recommendation, I am assuming, would be to pull every single Buffalo and Akron player out of your lineup if you can. That would be my recommendation. I don't know about anybody else. Playing with fire.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely could provide you with some zeros getting tossed into your lineup. Second sit here, going to go Chris Rodriguez, running back out of Kentucky. He's actually had a really, really good year, despite the fact that he was suspended for the first 4 games. He made me sweat about his under for his season-long prop on Prize Picks because of how well he was doing the first couple of weeks that he was back. But last year, he had 17 total yards against Georgia last year on 10 carries and 1 reception. I expect him to probably have a bit better day than that. But again, Georgia seems to be able to know how to shut them down, even with some young pups on the defense. So I wouldn't play with that. And then last but not least, Dominic Richardson, running back at Oklahoma State, going up against Oklahoma. The matchup here is nice, but Richardson's just way too touchdown dependent. It doesn't matter the matchup. He is going to carry you for 2.5 yards per carry, if even that. And again, you're relying heavily on him to find the end zone. Got lucky a couple weeks ago when he found the end zone 3 times, but he only had 24 yards on the day. I'm not trusting that today. Not in a playoff matchup.
Nakia Watson's fantasy points line on Prize Picks, Jared, is 15.5. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I would go over on that.
Yeah.
Here, let me go add that to my Prize Picks then.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Just doing the Lord's work here today. All right, guys, and let's actually just segue right into Prize Picks here. So we actually had somebody ask on Twitter, and then Luke actually mentioned this year. Achain is in uniform warming up, but according to reports, he does not look good. Against UMass, I think it's going to be a similar thing to Gibbs. He might suit up, probably doesn't play too much. More likely that he does not play. So if you've got Devin Achain, I think I'd be yanking him out of my lineups. Corey, thank you. Yes, we are a good-looking group. All right, let's hit Prize Picks here. Felix, we're going to come to you first. Lead us off. What do you got?
Yeah, I had Jordan Addison. I like this UCLA USC matchup for its fantasy. I think that there are going to be a lot of possessions in this game. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think that the over-under on the game is like 67 or something like that. I have receptions on the show sheet, 6 receptions, but I really like the yardage over more, which I think is around 70 or 80, somewhere around there. I think that is what we could see is Jordan Addison may have 4 or 5 catches, but over 125 yards. I think that he's going to go off today. And Chris Moxley pointed out on the Better Sports show that his touchdown line is over under a half touchdown. I like the over on that too. So let's skip the receptions. Let's get the yardage and the touchdown. I'm taking Jordan Addison with the over on both of those. And then my other one was Anthony Richardson. Vanderbilt coming off a big win against Kentucky. Anthony Richardson is a different animal than Will Levis. The over-under on his passing and rushing combined is 245.5. I like the over on that one. He's been playing better as of late. We know that he can break off a 60, 70-yard run at any given time, and I think that he gets 200 yards passing in this one, so I'm taking the over on that one.
I don't know how good I feel about betting that Anthony Richardson hits 200 yards passing in this one. I'm a little worried.
Passing and rushing combined.
I know, but you keep saying I think he's going to get all this on the ground, and then I think in some of these games where it gets over quickly, they run the ball pretty effectively. ETN, Montreal Johnson, some of these guys. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're right here. And Billy Napier hasn't highlighted Anthony Richardson really all year the way he should be, the way Dan Mullen would have. I'm on this kick that I want to see Dan Mullen and Anthony Richardson join forces again, maybe at a different program, maybe at Alabama next season. But Anthony Richardson is playing well. And I don't know that this one is just going to be just over, in the second quarter. So I like this line.
Felix just mentioned Jordan Addison stuff. I'm taking Caleb Williams over 325.5 pass yards in this one. I think that he should be able to pass all over that defense. Bo Nix was able to do it against them. With them losing Travis Dye, I was a massive Austin Jones guy, but I don't know that he carries the workload the way that Travis Dye did for the Trojans. I think they're going to have to beat UCLA through the air just like Bo Nix and Oregon did, and I think Caleb Williams is going to go out there and have a massive day. It's going to be a tough game for them. And it's a big game. Obviously, they're going for the Pac-12 championship and a possible playoff berth. He's gone over that in 3 of the past 5 weeks and just missed it by, I believe it was like 6 yards a couple weeks ago. So he's been fairly close to this line the past couple weeks, even against a Colorado team where he struggled the entire first half. My other one is a little bit lofty, Marvin Harrison Jr., and I'm taking the over on his 19.5 fantasy points. Now, he has gone over this 2 of the last 4 weeks. The third week, he missed it by 0.2 points against Iowa, a very good secondary. Maryland does not have that. This is the last chance I think Ryan Day has to highlight CJ Stroud as the Heisman front runner and pile on those stats. It's why I actually don't think the running game is going to do much today. We've seen when he gets in these games, he does not run the ball a ton. I think it's going to be a ton of passing. They're going to hyper target Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming down the field. And especially when they get down in the red zone, they love to go. He loves going to Marvin Harrison. I think he gets a couple touchdowns today, and I think he's going to go over that 19.5. I wouldn't say fairly easily, but I do think he gets you to 20-plus points today. I would take the over in their last chance to really kind of pour it on an opponent.
Alrighty, I'll go with mine first up here. I'll go with I got a pair of 2 SEC wide receivers here that I think the Prize Picks fantasy lines are a little bit too low on. First of all, Will Shepherd, wide receiver out of Vanderbilt. He has hit this line easily. I mean easily against any defense that is not considered one of the better ones in the SEC. He didn't hit it against Mizzou, who has a surprisingly pretty good defense this year. UGA didn't hit this against, but he hit it against Kentucky. He hit it against South Carolina. He hit it against Ole Miss. And Florida has the 90-plus ranked passing defense in the country. So I think that Will Shepherd can find ways through his receptions, yards, and the potential for a touchdown. He'll find a way to hit this pretty easily. If he gets a touchdown, I think this goes over with ease. Second wide receiver here, going to go a little homer here, but I'm going to go Ladd McConkey. He is going to go over his 10.5 fantasy points on Prize Picks. He and Stetson have finally kind of clicked. He had a period earlier this year where he had just a huge case of the drops. He's had the targets. He's had the receptions. He has the big playability right now for the Georgia offense, I think. And he, the last 2 weeks, has hit this over very, very easily. I think he'll be hitting that pretty easily today. And then last but not least, I'll throw out the Nakia Watson play over 15.5 fantasy points. I think he's one of the better plays this week that you can do against an Arizona defense. So give me over 15.5 fantasy points for Mr. Nakia Watson.
Slam dunk. Got another question here before we go over to Chris. One player started flex, pick CJ Johnson, Sam Brown, Stacey Sneed. Sneed?
Johnson, easily for me. Chris, you're muted.
Yeah, I don't really have a strong take. Johnson and Snead are the 2 I prefer, though. But I don't think you can go wrong with either.
Go with that gut. Then we've got Zay Flowers, Zachary Franklin. Zachary. I don't know how you're supposed to say it.
I think it's Zakari. I'd probably go Zakari. Just good matchup.
Yeah, I would go Zakari.
I lean that way too. Anybody else have anybody lean Zay Flowers? I know someone had him as a sit earlier. Jared, I think it was you. So somebody did.
Me.
That was you. Okay. So all right, Chris, Prize Picks.
Yeah, I like Cameron Rising over 250.5 passing yards. Surprises hasn't gone up at all. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Oregon secondary is terrible. We think this game could be high scoring. So give me Rising over 250.5. I am also on, I believe, Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet over 125.5. USC's rush defense is terrible. I'm just picking on like the weakest units in their respective matchups today. And I am also on Jake Bobo over 11.5 fantasy points. Again, a high scoring game. He's my start for all the same reasons I said start him. He's the only guy in that passing game probably going to see double-digit targets, lots of points. I'm rolling with Jake Bobo.
Bobo for show. LeBourne. Yeah, you guys liked that. LeBourne or Holani, would you sit either of them for Snead? No.
I probably would go LeBourne.
You would sit LeBourne for Snead.
Oh no, sit LeBourne. No, keep LeBourne. I misread the question. I thought we were asking if LeBourne or Holani should go in for Snead.
I would roll with those two. Chris?
Yeah, I would go with those two.
Yeah, I'm with y'all.
Yeah. All right. And myself, Colin. Let's go with Colin.
Oh, thanks. I just wanted to make sure I could talk there. Thanks, Austin. I've been on the Jackson Dart under for passing yards on a lot of the weeks here, and it's been It's hit, it's missed. But in this one, I'm taking Jackson Dart over his pass yard total, over 205.5. It did go up this morning to 211.5. I still like the over on this one here. He's been over both of these numbers in 3 of his last 5 games. And the Arkansas pass defense gives up the 11th most pass yards per game, 280.5. They have the 9th worst pass defensive explosiveness. So I think Ole Miss can hit some explosive plays here. Some stuff over the top to Jonathan Mingo. I think we could see some of that. He could also dump it off, and we could see some, Quinshon Judkins in the pass game as well. I think there's a number of ways for him to get over this number. And Arkansas's run defense is pretty middle of the pack too. So the way you beat them is through the air. I think 205 and even 211 is a pretty low number there. And then the other one I'm playing here is Jaden Reed over 59.5 receiving yards. He's been over this in 5 of his last 6. The only miss was against Michigan. So tough matchup there on this one. Much softer matchup this week. Indiana's pass defense allows the 16th most yards per game, 270.6. They're 7th worst in pass defensive EPA per play and 4th worst in pass success rate. So this is a really soft defense and a soft matchup. I think he can hit over this. My only real concern is the wind. Cold shower Chris Moxley down there gave us the weather forecast. He said it's 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 35. Mildly concerning, but Jaden Reed does also operate in the shorter to intermediate area. And I think he could catch some short numbers to get over this. I don't love his fantasy score or his receptions prop. So I'm really only sticking with the yardage in this one.
Josh McCray did not travel. Donovan Edwards is out today. Some injury news there for everybody. How are we feeling about Jaden Ott today? Jaden Ott playing Stanford is in an absolute smash spot. Smash spots. We saw what running backs have done to Stanford as of late. We're rolling out Ott, and I don't even trust Ott on a week-to-week basis, but I like this matchup for him. All right, guys. I think we're going to get into picking some games here. Pick the best ones on the slate. We'll start with Illinois, Michigan. Give me Michigan. This wasn't too tough of a decision for me, even with Chase Brown. Oh, okay. So here's Luke just says that Evan Stewart not in warmups right now. There's been a bunch of news coming out of Texas A&M's warmups. So I think we've said to everybody that's asked so far on the show, sit Evan Stewart if that's been an option. But in case we did not, I think it would make that even an easier decision for us here. Give me Michigan though, and this one.
I'm taking Michigan also, and I'm also taking Michigan in the spread. I think 22.5 in this. So if you're betting today, I'm also taking Michigan there.
Yeah, I'm also on Michigan here. I'm kind of with Felix. I could see Illinois getting no touchdowns, maybe a couple field goals here and there. I think this is going to be a blowout.
I'm sorry, 17. I think it's 17. Michigan is favored by 17.5. 22.5 is Georgia. So I'm taking Michigan to cover that.
Jared, you're muted. Good work.
How did I get muted? Maybe because I had an M at some point. Anyway, I'm taking Michigan here. Illinois, maybe you could put up a fight today. I think they'll put up more of a fight than some people are giving them credit for. But I'm not going to bet against Michigan here.
Yeah, I don't think there's a path for Illinois to win this game. Straight up, I just don't think they can do it.
Michigan for me as well.
All right, guys. Georgia, Kentucky. Georgia coming off a couple of disappointing performances. Georgia is Georgia. I like Georgia in this one.
I misheard you. I think you said Georgia's coming off some disappointing performances.
No. Georgia. I mean, let's be honest though. Georgia really hasn't been what we thought they could be since early in the season. They I mean, I'm not saying they're going to lose this game or even get close to it, but conserving energy maybe. But I don't like that approach to things either. I don't know. They're setting themselves up to possibly lose something here at some point.
Georgia has had some questionable performances, against Kent State and against Missouri. I like Georgia to win in this one, but I like Kentucky plus 22. Now, 22.5. I think that Kentucky is going to come out better offensively than they have the last couple of weeks, really because there's no other reason other than Will Levis can't be as bad as he was. He can't be as bad as he was, and they do have a good running back there in in Chris Rodriguez, and we like their freshman wide receivers. So I like Kentucky plus 22.5. I think that this is a low scoring game where, we might get to the end of the first half at like 130 because these teams are just running the ball. So I don't know that Kentucky can get out to that big of a lead that Georgia can get out to that big of a lead on Kentucky. I like Kentucky to cover 22.5.
I like Georgia in this one for sure. And this is another one that I could see being a blowout. I mean, you guys say Will Levis can't be as bad as he has been the past couple of weeks, and maybe he won't be as bad as he was against Vanderbilt, but this Georgia defense is also way better than Vanderbilt too. So I think comparatively, he can still be pretty bad. I don't see a way that Kentucky scores very much in this one. I think Georgia, if they want to blow them out, they can. If they want to conserve some energy, they can. They're going to control this game.
Kentucky's game plan the last couple of years has been to try to out Georgia, and they haven't been able to do it. No reason to expect them to do it again this year. We're going to go with the Dogs.
I said it can't get worse for Will Levis as well after the Tennessee game. Then he went against Vanderbilt. It was even worse. So I don't know how low we can go. That's a good question. I just don't think Kentucky can keep this game all that competitive, but I do like the under here, and which correlated play would mean the spread Kentucky covering. So, but under makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Moxley on that. I think the under's in play. I do kind of agree with Felix that they probably cover, but I don't think it's because of Will Levis. Will Levis's best game was against Florida, and that was not a good game. To even put Georgia and Florida's defenses in the same conversation is disrespectful. I think Georgia's easily going to control this game. I think their best bet is to try and get something going with Chris Rodriguez, but I don't even know that happens. So I think they could
17
cover.
yards last year.
That was last year, Jared. Calm down. I do think that they could cover, but Georgia's going to win. It's not going to be close.
Felix, did you have something to add?
Simma. Ole
Miss at Arkansas. We've called Ole Miss fraudulent all year, but I like Ole Miss in this one.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss, just better team.
I'm rooting so hard for Arkansas here, but I got to go with Ole Miss. That until the Arkansas offense gets fixed, there's nothing they can do in this.
I am on Ole Miss as well. Arkansas has so many problems, like both on defense and it's a mess. I think Quinshon Judkins might have a big day.
Give me Ole Miss.
You learned his lesson.
I would say, Mox, did it hurt to say that?
His lesson.
No, I like Quinshon Judkins. I just thought it was going to be a tough matchup.
Mr. Bruning, did you pick?
I said Ole Miss before I was interrupted. I figured we just continue.
Sorry. I thought you might add a little more. All right. USC, UCLA. Love the old school choice on the images here. We had some interesting discussions about this. It's like a 2.5 point spread. I'm not putting any money on it, but I like USC in this one. I just think they're slightly better team.
Yeah, and there's not a really big difference in home field advantage. I mean, it's at the Rose Bowl. I just think that Chip Kelly gets a big win here and beats Lincoln Riley. So I'm going with UCLA in the upset.
Yeah, I'm going to take USC in this one. I think this is going to be a close game. This is probably the best game we have on today's slate. I think it's going to be pretty close, but I think USC is going to be able to pull it out. I think just overall, they're a little bit better of a team, and I think they'll be able to outscore UCLA.
Yeah, give me USC here, but give me all the points that'll come in this matchup more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm on USC. And the biggest question mark is whether or not Eric Gentry plays for the Trojans. If he does, I feel a lot better about it. I also like USC because despite being top 10 in red zone trips, they rank outside UCLA ranks outside the top 55 in red zone success rate. So can't be kicking field goals in the game where the total's like 75.
Yeah, give me USC as well. I think this is going to be Give me USC as well. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I expect the offense to. I expect Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley to figure out a way to win the game.
All right, last one here. Utah and
Somebody just
Oregon.
needs to fart into the microphone now. I mean, look, this is ridiculous.
I
Utah.
apologize.
Don't apologize. I do
All
not
y'all
apologize.
and your bodily functions, man.
Utah. Utah. I'm taking Utah.
I know Bo Nix might not play in this one, but I still think I'm taking Oregon, especially if Bo Nix plays. But even if they don't, I think they're just overall a little bit better of a team here. It's going to be a lot closer though.
Colin's so
give me
stuck on
Oregon.
his Ty Thompson priors that he can't move off now.
Ty Thompson's gonna lead him to victory here in this
It
one.
would be
We're gonna see
quite-
how good he is.
It would be quite the statement if Ty Thompson came in and won this game for Oregon today. However, if Bo Nix is out, I do not trust him. So I'm going to go with Utah. And in fact, Utah is getting back their best weapon on offense in Dalton Kincaid. And what's going on here, Austin?
What the hell? Don't know. Sorry.
Matt, you good? No, Austin.
It just
And
automatically
also-
added it to the stream. Sorry.
It also seems like that they are going to start unleashing Tavian Thompson like he should have been all year. So I feel pretty good about Utah here.
Yeah, I like Utah as well. Mostly because I don't think Bo Nix is going to play. And I don't think there's a path to victory under Ty Thompson. No.
Ty Thompson throwing for 350. You heard it here first.
How well do you actually think Ty Thompson's going to perform today?
In all honesty, probably not super well. I mean, I think if he throws for 250 and limits turnovers, I think that's a really good day for him.
If he throws for 250, no, never mind. I can't do any more tattoo bets.
I think 250 and limiting turnovers is a fantastic day for him.
I would agree because I don't think he's getting 250.
I'm taking Oregon.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for you guys. Chris and I are going to hang out. Matt, Colin, Jared, thanks for stopping by with us.
Appreciate y'all.
We're going to hit a DFS segment here real quick with Chris K. And then we're going to talk some betting here to wrap up the slate. As always, guys, drop, start, sit questions if you got them. We will answer those. Those will have top priority here for everybody. So let's bring Chris in here and get this video cranking. I'm being told that the audio is not working. The file was too big to upload to StreamYard today, so I apologize. We're going to skip that. Let's go right into betting here, Chris. Some plays for the people today.
I actually have a big card today. Been adding a lot this morning as well. Yeah, I feel a little cocky after my Deneric Prince call last night. Where do I want to start? Spencer Sanders is playing for Oklahoma State. That makes me a lot more interested in playing Oklahoma State 7.5. That's still available on BetMGM. Everywhere it's 7. I also like, I talked about this earlier on Better Sports, the UTSA team total over 34.5. That's actually available on FanDuel at minus 114. Everywhere else is 35.5. It's actually juiced to the under on DraftKings, probably because it's touched 35 is a key number in terms of like scoring. What else have I added this morning? NC State plus 3.5. Like Cunningham's out. I think that they probably win that game. So if you want to roll with the money line there, it makes a lot of sense too. I just don't think they're going to be able to score because NC State's defense is good. We just need to make sure that they can score the points on the defense, on Louisville's defense, who's honestly kind of decent, or at least playing a lot better recently.
Yeah.
What else do I have? I got Eric Gray over 105 rush yards today. You talked about him earlier. on Better Sports why it was a great matchup. But I tend to agree. I think that 105 is very much in the range of outcomes. Let's see. What else do I have that I really like? So this is a live option. I kind of like Wake Forest minus 9.5 against Syracuse. I think that they are definitely 9.5 points better than Syracuse. I know the Wake Forest games can be so funky though, that like I never really know which direction they're going to go. Sometimes they play really well, sometimes they play really poorly, like back-to-back weeks. So I wonder if like it gets below 7 at one point, like 6.5. I wonder if that's a good opportunity because I think they can win by a touchdown. So that's the thing I'm thinking. What do you like? Do you have anything? I know you like that Boston College number.
Yeah, I like that Boston College number. They're going to cover the 20.5. I think their team total of 10.5, 11, whatever you see is too low. I like all of those things. In that game, I actually just threw something on that NC State line that is really intriguing to me. I'm going to pull up my card here and just see what else I've played today. Some of it is going to be stuff that you've already played, so I won't mention it. We did get a question here from Niall Croc about some IDP stuff. So I do play in several IDP college leagues, Niall, and I think the thing that I really don't sweat IDP start sits. Like I think the scoring can be so random depending on the week that I wouldn't sweat it too much. I'm probably rolling out Easton Gibbs if I had to choose between here. I'm not even sure that Toto is going to start or going to play the whole game here for Alabama. I think they get up early on Austin P and then it's just kind of a wrap. So like from that perspective, I'd probably play Gibbs, but guessing beyond that, I think it's fairly difficult, but give me Gibbs just based on that information.
I don't play in any IDP leagues either, but I would certainly lean Gibbs in this situation, basically for the exact reason that you gave.
A couple other bets that I like today, Chris, that I'm playing. I've got Illinois under 12.5 points. I don't believe you said that one. I know that that money is pretty split on that. In fact, I know Alfred played the over on their points. I know Chase Brown's playing. I just don't love that for them. I love Auburn to cover that 5.5 point spread. And this one's Utah, Oregon. I like under 60.5. I think that line is still a little bit high. I think that line is actually moving. So I'm not sure if it's still there or not. I got it very early this morning, but I think this is going to be a slower paced game than people expect with Bo Nix out. I mean, after all, this is Dillingham, who's been an offensive coordinator in the SEC, with Dan Lanning, who's a defensive guy, going against a Utah team that doesn't really want to push the pace. Anyway.
Yeah, I can get you 60.5.
So I like that line there as well. I don't know. Do you have anything else, Chris? We just want to hang out for a couple more minutes, see if anybody else has some start sit stuff. We can always end early as well.
A lot of the numbers, we already had one kickoff between Navy and UCF. That number moved. I'm on Montana State today. I explained my new rule a couple times that if you are an FCS team and you are home and you are hosting College Game Day, I'm betting on you. So that's it. Like that's the rule. Bozeman, I listen. I know Bozeman, Montana is not like a hotbed of college football. It is -4 degrees there this morning, but rules are rules. Just the way it is.
You're gonna have to break that rule out a lot, I think, too, moving forward. You know, a lot of FBS home games FCS home games.
I want to go to like D2 or D. Does Alaska have a D1 football program?
I don't think they have a D1 program. I mean, I think like logistically, I don't know that they have any college sports that necessarily plug into to NCAA at the greater side of things. I mean, you have to have a pretty decent amount of money for all the travel that you have to do there. I don't know.
Well, what about oil money?
Is there a lot of oil money in Alaska?
I was thinking offshore drilling wise.
That's fair.
I
don't know.
that was my assumption. Okay, so they
poor man's Texas A&M.
So they have high school football, obviously. There are 32 high school programs, 22 high school football programs. the Alaska. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Oh no, they don't.
No,
I don't see a football program. Do we have the Alaska Nanooks, which is Alaska Fairbanks, and Alaska Anchorage Seawolves, which is Alaska Anchorage. So
each other 12 times a year.
Yeah,
I didn't actually know that. But
Alaska should play Russia's team. That's a good point. Yeah, so actually there are 13 athletic teams that represent the University of Alaska Anchorage. Huh. More you know.
Good stuff. All right. Well, there. That feels like a good way to wrap up the show here this morning, guys. Thanks for tuning in. For those that were on here on the tailgate with us, thanks for tuning in. If you stuck around on Better Sports as well, we thank you for that. Got to get my short nap in here before all the games start kicking off. We will see you guys tonight. College Fantasy tonight will kick off right around 11:30 Eastern. Chris Moxley, Austin Nace. See you guys next week.